What's up everyone, John from Beyond AR TV. Welcome back to another episode of my weekly countdown show, 7 on Sunday. Today I'm going to be talking about something that's sure to get tons of positive comments and definitely will not have anybody up in arms at all. Nobody will be offended because I am talking about something that I feel heavily opinionated on, and that is 7 bands that should probably just retire. It's time to hang it up, everyone. It's time to call it a day. Perhaps, or maybe they will find a way to move forward in a more innovative manner. But until then, these are 7 bands that I'm kind of just hoping maybe they either retire or slowly fade into the night because maybe they're doing something to undermine their legacy, or maybe it's just like they've been lingering, like they're tethered to something and nobody can cut the cord. They won't even do it, and they're hanging around for too long. So these are 7 bands that I think need to call it quits. Let me know what you think of the list in the comment section down below. And of course, start typing away with bands that you want to retire or ones that you hope will hang it up within the next 5 years or so. Keep in mind, these are all just my opinions, so these will be yours in the comments too. Bush originally disbanded back in 2002, and at this point, I still honestly haven't really seen a good reason for them to have resurfaced and gotten back together other than maybe, I don't know, they needed some money or something? The Sea of Memories, I suppose, was decent. That came out in 2011, but still, I was mixed on even that one. And things really started to suck in 2014 with Man on the Run. An album that really felt conflicted on what it wanted to be and what direction it wanted to go. And then I just feel like it turned abysmal on their most recent effort, Black and White Rainbows. That came out in 2017, and man, there were some duds on there, some songs that I just straight up hated. I didn't give a review to it, and I just didn't want to come back to it. And even listening and sampling to some of the songs to prepare for this video, I felt the need to just turn it off and be like, alright, yeah, they definitely earned their spot here. I know I'm gonna face the wrath of the fans on this one, but please, just hear me out. So at number 6, yes, I do indeed have Fall Out Boy. And I know what you're already thinking. John, do you ever shut up about Fall Out Boy? Do you ever stop talking shit and giving them criticism? Well, I want them to get better, so no, I don't. And maybe I have talked about it too much, but with a video topic like this, how could I not put them on there? Now, contrary to popular belief, I actually am a huge Fall Out Boy fan, especially up through their comeback LP, Save Rock and Roll. The early years were so fascinating, and they have great albums. I pretty much love everything from 2003's debut, Take This to Your Grave, and all the way up through Folie à Deux in 08. Even the comeback LP was solid, but it just feels like the past few LPs have truly started to undermine the legacy that they created in the first place. It's starting to take away as it becomes more and more abundant that things are done for cash grabs, whether it be merch or the way that they present themselves. I mean, they were playing fucking Fortnite up on screen, and they're having all of these remixes of their songs, and then the Make America Psycho Again mixtape. I mean, just what is going on here? It's like they want to be a part of the rap community, the a rock community, the alternative community. I mean, how many communities can we be a part of, guys? Even the Fortnite clan. I mean, what all are we joining in on here? Whatever is the next trend, it seems like they are becoming what they originally hated. And that's kind of unfortunate. I do feel like the members of the band are all pretty cool people. I've heard podcasts with P. Wentz, Patrick Stump's done discussions that I really do like. Andy Hurley just seems like an all-around great guy and activist, and Joe Troman's just a cool dude. He's a family man now. They're all great people, it seems like, but the music that they're making is just nowhere near the quality of what they've done before. I do, however, still have a glimmer of hope in my eyes because I feel like they could do something. I feel like there's still potential there. So that's why I put this a little bit further down the list. I hope they come back and wow me because they're in desperate need of doing something like that at this point. I love that the members of Switchfoot are like brothers. I mean, like, I know Tim and John Foreman of Switchfoot are actually brothers, but I mean in general. They just feel like it's a brotherhood. They love each other, and it's clear that they love their fans, and just the music, what they do, but also it feels like maybe they've been holding on to Switchfoot for a little bit too long. They started off as surfer bros. I mean, I think the band name makes it pretty obvious what they were into, and they grew up over time. In fact, they found a lot of success in the 2000s, starting with the 2003, the excellent and beautiful LP, The Beautiful Letdown, and then that success continued on some further great albums, Nothing Is Sound, Oh Gravity, and Hello Hurricane. I enjoyed most of those releases, and I think that after Hello Hurricane, something really started to change in the band. I'm not exactly sure what it was, and even though I do like Vice Versa's, around that time in the band, it just felt like there was a little bit of, I don't know, not dread, but maybe not as much enjoyment from the band themselves about what they were doing. And I think that that truly reflected on the confusing LP that came out, Fading West. That 2014 album was very messy, and I do feel like even though it was a bit of a comeback, Where the Light Shines Through that came out in 2016 was still not that great, not that solid, and a little bit shaky in places. It's clear that they still have talent and potential, but it just feels like they've kind of run what they've done and taken it as far as they can. Not to say that they've just crashed and burned by any means, it just feels like they kind of leveled out, and I don't know if they can ever come back from this plateau. I really held out hope for 3 Days Grace because I felt like with Matt Walsh coming to the band, he did add a different side, but he also did try to emulate Adam, the former singer of 3 Days Grace, Adam Gontier, in a way with his vocals and his presence on the tracks, but I felt he was truly starting to come into his own with some of the tracks on their album Human and tracks like The Mountain on their new album Outsider. Now, even the album was eluding me for a minute there. I didn't even know if I would remember it in time, and that's just how I feel about the majority of 3 Days Grace's material. But this problem dates back not just before Matt Walsh joined the band after Adam quit, but the problem arose, I feel like, after Life Starts Now. Now, I actually am a pretty big fan of early 3 Days Grace material. The self-titled is still solid, although I'm conflicted on it in places. 1X is their masterpiece, and Life Starts Now has great songs on it. Now, I do feel like Transit of Venus was kind of that transition record that really saw the band conflicted on what to do. And ever since then, I think that the band members just want to keep doing it, and they do clearly love the fans, but the sound is so stale. They've fallen into the radio rock cliches in a lot of ways, despite a few good songs here and there, and at this point, it just feels like they're kind of a legacy act that continues to push forward. Things may have been hella good up until the early 2000s with this group, but since then, things have definitely not been rockin' too steady. No Doubt were extremely popular in the late 90s, having a diamond album in the form of the excellent Tragic Kingdom, and then having some other successful albums, and just being an enjoyable band that I do like still to this day. They have great hit songs, but it's clear that their chemistry started to fade after Rocksteady. The relationship fell apart, and the band went their separate ways. Gwen Stefani had her solo career to focus on, which was definitely questionable at times, but some cool songs, I suppose, here and there. I'll still defend the hell out of Holla Back Girl. But overall, once the band came back with Push and Shove, it just all felt a little bit unnatural. Now, that material was just fine to some, but overall these days, I feel like Gwen and Tony, the main people that are in No Doubt, really just have their own things to focus on. Dream Car is Tony's project, actually all of the members of No Doubt except for Gwen Stefani. Instead, they have Davey Havok of AFI, and it was a solid, enjoyable LP. In fact, I feel like if Gwen Stefani hopped on something like that, then I'd be okay with it. But the fact is, she doesn't seem interested, neither does Tony, they're not on the same page, so why not just go ahead and say, you know what, let's close this page in history, No Doubt is finished. Ever feel like some bands just kind of hang around and linger like that person that graduated from high school a few years ago but keeps coming back to like all of the pep rallies and football games and stuff, and you're like, what are you still doing here? Well, in a way, that feels like We the Kings, and I'm just as guilty as the next guy is getting caught up in nostalgia sometimes. But hey, I'm also not in a band that's kind of been hanging by a thread since 2011 or 2012. After the band's bassist and brother of guitarist Hunter Thompson Drew left the band after Sunshine State of Mind in 2011, it's like the band fell into a giant pit of cliches. I mean, it's just been one meh after another with very little to write home about. I mean, I guess former internet personality, I shouldn't say formerly popular internet personality and vlogger Charles Trippy joined as the bassist in 2011, and I've yet to hear a standout bass line from him that I can even really give any visualization or description of since he joined the band, and he's played on multiple records. In fact, the band have a new album that's coming out, or maybe is even out by the time you're watching this video, and just listening to any of the new material, it just feels so uninspired, so lukewarm. And a lot of this is thanks to the conceptualizations and just the style and the lyrical content of leader Travis Clark. I just feel like his voice and his persona comes across trying to be sweet, trying to be inspirational, but really it's just running these generic themes and just sounds into the ground, and it's making We the Kings crash and burn. This Welsh metal band have been super inconsistent with their sound over the years, and it's really been grating on me in recent times. I think the band have a couple of decent LPs under their belt, with Fever and The Poison probably being their strongest. There's some good songs on Scream Aim Fire, and I guess they've had some other good singles that have been one-offs, and then other random bonus tracks that have been pretty good. But for the most part, especially with the release of Venom and this new album, Gravity, that just sucked balls. I mean, good God, that record was so try-hard, trying to be like nu metal bands, trying to be like a hybrid of something that you would hear like Danger Kids meets Linkin Park meets other generic bullshit that you don't care about. The lyrics and just the singing from their lead singer Matt just felt off through and through. And it hasn't felt like these guys have really been putting in the effort for a while now. I never thought that they were the best band out there. I went through a phase where I was pretty connected to them, but it was pretty easy for me to start seeing through their bullshit and seeing through the fact that they were hyping themselves up and ramping up as like this big metal band that were like saviors of rock, but they're not writing anything compelling whatsoever. It's the same riffs, it's the same trying to be thrashy sound, and then they watered it down even further, and it just got boring. Even when these guys get interviewed, it's clear that they have nothing to talk about or anything interesting to say other than the same old, oh, well, you know, we give all that credit to our fans, and well, we just tried to write something different. Just the same boring, cliched answers that you would expect from any interview. It's clear that the passion's been drained, and it seems like a money pit for them at this point, if anything, for the reasons that they just keep diving back in and putting out new material. I don't think it's inspired, I don't think it's good, I don't think it's right, I think that it's time to go away and fade. I understand that these probably aren't super popular opinions, but at the end of the day, keep in mind that it is all just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section down below. Please drop a like on this video. Even if you disagree, keep in mind that we can have a civil discussion, and I will reply to some of the comments. Quick access to Patreon can also be found in this annotation over in the corner of the screen there. If you want to see last week's episode of 7 on Sunday, tap right over here, or another recent video I put out on the channel right here. All of my social media accounts, including Twitch, can be found in the description down below. And other than that, I'll see you very soon for more right here on Beyond AR TV.